Day 3 of 30, talking to the camera, to the people, and whoever that may be. Was reflecting, actually, really just got out of a 30, 40 minute mindfulness meditation session, much well needed after a somewhat chaotic Saturday. Chaotic in a good way. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of things that were in motion, but very little a bit of that time was spent on me and doing any inner work. I didn't really start the day with much inner work. Didn't really start the day with the word like I typically like to, which kind of lights my pathway as far as the day goes and how it typically unfolds. But that's okay. It was a lot of fun, a lot of playful exuberance, which has been a term that I really like to sit with recently and like to find ways to better express that. Day 2 was being more intentional about the uses of ums and ahs and verbal pausing and noticing when I'm doing that, I'm looking to just fill some silence, which isn't typically normal to do when I'm speaking to someone in the first place. I'm just more intentional about my words and letting it flow. And right now, I feel I'm in flow as I'm speaking to the camera today. So, beyond that, I start to think about the importance of individualism, not in a selfish way, but more so in the sense of being able to sit with who you are and being confident in that and expressing yourself from that space versus being bombarded by all these advertisements we see through social media, on TV, on the web, or even things we get from books, all these thoughts and ideas that we collect, and we start to have this spiral going on in our mind of what our thoughts now should be, when in reality that's not true. In reality, we're getting lost in this spiral of dogma, if you'll call it. I just got that term from something I was just reading. But yeah, dogma that gets you to believe that someone else's voice is your voice, and now you're a carbon copy of them. And instead of intelligently emulating them or imitating them, now you're just straight up imitating someone else. And lo and behold, continuing down that path, you find out that you're not even actually yourself anymore. You forget who you are. And that was an essence of some thoughts that were bubbling up to me from before I had that meditation session. Because there's a book by Trevor Blake that I was exposed to maybe a year ago now, but bubbling it back up to the surface more recently because it's a time and space that is appropriate. But the concept of taking quiet time, 20 minutes to yourself. But the reason behind that is he talks about the importance of reclaiming your sense of individualism. And without that, it drowns out that inner voice, that Holy Spirit, that calling, whatever that may be for someone else, and however you define it. But we all tend to intuitively know what that is from time to time. Sometimes it's very quiet, and depending on how we interact with that voice, or act from that voice, or neglect to act from that voice, tends to just push that away. And next thing we know, we're being led by our ego, by vice, by all of these other things of the world. And then we're in a path and in a lifestyle or way of thinking that doesn't even resonate with who we feel we are at our core in the first place. So sometimes it takes a lot of reflection, or sometimes it just takes some time to just pause and listen. Pause and listen. And not just listen, but then be obedient to that voice. If you need a journal about it, write it down, do so. But that is some thoughts that came to me that needed to be spoken to the camera, recorded, And that wraps up day 3 of recording. And I do air quotes because technically I missed a day yesterday as far as recording this. So I'm calling this day 3. Technically it's day 4, but that's the message for now.